Hey guys, welcome. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do a mid-fade pompadour. Let's get started. So we're gonna start by outlining all around the head to get a guideline. Once we get a guideline, we're gonna go ahead and remove the hair underneath it. As you can see, I still did my outline a little lower just because we're still gonna have to blend upwards. So you wanna be on the safe side. Using the clippers, I open up to a half and then I go back to a 0 as you can see to blend. So go back and forth with the half and the 0. Now here, I'm gonna go ahead and do a 1.5 blending, and then I'm gonna close it to blend the half to the 1. I'm doing the same thing on the other side, starting with the half, open clipper. I go back to the 1.5, and then I'm gonna go ahead and close it to a 1 to start blending the half to the 1. So when we have our fade going, at this point, I start using the corner of my clipper. I go back with the half and back with the 0, but only using the corner of the clipper. Since the fade is already there, just to clean it up, we're gonna go ahead and use the corner. Now we're gonna start with a number 2 to start blending the heavier side of the hair. And then once I do a number 2, I like to go up all the way up until the head starts to curve. And then I go back with the 1.5 to the 1 to blend from the 2 to a 1. Then I'm gonna go ahead and start using a number 4 all the way upwards, and then we're gonna go ahead and blend from 2 to a 3 to a 4, and we're just gonna go ahead and use the blending comb to get those extra hairs. Now we're just gonna go ahead and clean up the back of the fade, and we're gonna do the half, open half with the 0, and just making sure we're blending it really nicely to the 1. And as you can see, the fade drops down. So whenever we did the guideline, it was like a U-turn. Now we're getting to the fun part. We're getting to the scissor cutting with the calyx in the back and the front. And at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and wet the hair to make sure it's nicely wet so we can go ahead and start removing some bulk out of the hair. So here I start to take some of the bulk, and I'm actually texturizing at the same time. I don't really like to use the shears unless I'm gonna take a good amount of hair. In this case, he wants to keep his length, so I'm just gonna go ahead and remove some of that bulk and just kind of even it out at the same time while I'm actually using the thinning shears. And as you can see, the thinning shears that I'm using, their teeth are actually a little bit wider than the regular thinning shears. Okay, now we're getting to the calyx area. We're gonna go ahead and use our blending comb to get some of that excess that is just sticking up. You wanna go ahead and remove that. Okay, so at this point, we're just gonna go ahead and go all around the haircut and make sure we're getting all the details, making sure everything is blended right, making sure the calic is blending right with the top of the hair, and the fade is blending as well. So we're gonna go ahead and go back with that number 4 just to kind of clean it up and make sure we're getting all the little hairs and it's blending up to the calic. And then I'll go ahead and go back with the 2 and with the 1 and then just touch it up a little bit, okay guys? But make sure you're using mostly of the corner because at this point we don't want to make more lines in the haircut. We're just cleaning up the hair. So now we only using the tip of the clipper. So I'm going to go ahead and add a lot of texture to the hair. So what you want to do is pick up the hair and do it midway, just 1 or 2. You don't want to go too crazy in it. We want to add some volume to the hair. So we're going to go ahead and engrave the hairline. We're just making a guidance so we can go over with the razor. You don't want to make the line too wide because you still want to have room to widen it up a little bit when you use the razor, and just making sure that it's nice and clean line. Go ahead and edge him up all around, making sure his natural hairline is popping. We don't want to overdo it. We always want to do more on the natural side because once the hair starts to grow, you're going to be able to tell that they don't have a natural hairline. So you always want to make sure you do it in the natural side. And we're just going to go ahead and point cut with the texturizings just to give it a little bit more of a volume and texture and blend all in once. So we're going to go ahead and use our thinning shears. And what we're doing at this point, we are pretty much just taking off any extra excess, any flyaways, any hairs that are just coming upwards and are not blending well or are not staying down. That's just going to make it look a lot smoother and nicer. At this point, we are done with the haircut. We're going to go ahead and clean him up and make sure his lines are nice and clean. So I'm going to put a little bit of aloe shaving gel, and then we're going to go ahead and raise all around his edge. Sure we are stretching the skin whenever we are making our lines nice and clean. So we're going to go ahead and shampoo his hair. While we're shampooing his hair, I am going to place a hot steam towel over his face You just want to make sure it's nice and warm and it's not too hot for their face. So always make sure you check it with your wrist. And I also like to put a little bit of lavender oil underneath their nose so they can go ahead and relax. Whenever you're shampooing the hair, you want to make sure you get in there and you're not afraid to, you know, scrub their scalp, because that's what they're looking forward to, get their hair and their scalp clean. I always like to shampoo the hair twice to make sure it's really nice and clean. Whenever we are applying the conditioner, I do like to do a slightly massage on the head and just making sure they are relaxing, and you want to make their shampoo work. Alrighty guys, so we are wrapping it up. I'm gonna go ahead and use a heat protector. You wanna make sure you use a small little pump and just rub it in the hair and make sure you spread it all over. After that, we're gonna go ahead and use a round brush to give him a nice little volume and nice little style for his hair. After we're done blow drying it, I am going to use some paste. I'm going to use about a dime size and making sure you rub it all in, starting from the back to the front. And then we're going to go ahead and place it, apply a little bit of a dry spray, and making sure he's looking nice and sharp, making sure there's no hairs flying out, and just making sure he's looking amazing. And here you go guys, you have your Pompadour mid-fade. Whoop whoop, check out your favorite girl, stylist Laura in the